All right, hello traders. It is Monday, July 8th, 2024, coming to you after the market closed today. Just to recap the trading account today, also talk to you a little bit about charting and a little technical analysis. So let's get into both of these things today. So if you want to find out how I'm reading charts, how I'm able to figure out what trades I want to put on, both in the Income Navigator and the Active Trader service, but really getting a sense of how I'm placing trades and what I'm looking for. We're going to talk about that today. So stick around, see what I've got for you. And then at the end, we'll cover some of these different chart setups as well. So let's get into how the market performed today. Let me share my trading account with you as always. So I want to make sure that you get a sense of knowing what we're doing. So the S&P was up $6 today. So really a nothing day up there as the market's kind of just hit new all-time highs, but not a whole lot of excitement or anything going on there. We remain overbought. We'll look at some charts in just a minute. But on the account itself today, we saw our delta kind of maybe drop briefly, 448 on delta, still 0.08%, still well within our limits, so nothing to do on delta. Theta did drop today to 1320, so seeing a little bit of a theta drop, not a theta decay, but a decay in actual theta for the account. So theta dropping a bit, still not bad, 0.25%. We just struggle in this low vol environment. VIX dropped again today, 1237. We're at multi-year lows almost on volatility as our index just keeps going higher. But the great news for us today is new all-time highs and smashing it, not like a couple grand here or there or a couple bucks. We actually smashed it by over $6,000 today in net lick. So big jump in our net lick. Everything paid off today. So we closed today at 528,947. That's a definite new all-time high in the account for our net lick. So 528,947. That puts us up for the year somewhere in the neighborhood of over $100,000 in P&L for the year. So good stuff already, and it's only 6 months and 8 days into the year, and we're up over 100 grand. All right, BP usage did jump up a little bit today, 316,979. Didn't really add any trades, so not sure why BP went up. Not much was really moving, although oil sold off a bit, and that may have accounted for a little bit of increased BP. And, we actually added some more bill. 52,612 is the new account. So just trying to keep up with that 10% of the account. So bill at 52,000 now. And that puts our buying power at 49.98. So we do have a little bit of a fractional buying power. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But right now we're just sitting at the magical 50 level, which is where we like to be. Our realized gains for the day, $720 to the good. So the good guys won, $720 more today. We'll talk about that. Obviously, that wasn't the big driver on the net lick. Net lick was up. I mean, every single thing we owned was up today and up decently. So good day today, $720. Let's see where this whole move puts us. Right now, we're now up 25.35% on the year. Again, just in 6 months, we are on path for 50% gains this year. A lot of time left to go. We'll see what happens. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, but that would be awesome for us. We're averaging 4% a month, just over. So good stuff there. The S&P is up 17%. So the S&P is still fighting and clawing to move up 17%. So we're doing everything we can to stay ahead of it and outperform the S&P. If we start to drop and sell off a bit, or at least go flat, I think that's really going to push us even farther ahead of the S&P, which is having a fantastic year. So really hard to be a bad investor or a bad trader right now. You have to be extraordinarily bad to not be making some money right now, or very unfortunate. But the markets are only going one direction. That is up, at least on the S&P. All right, jump in to our closed trades. And before we do that, let's take a look at the total on the month right now. And this is for the month of July already. We're up 15,199. The goal was 15,475. So we've almost got this month in, and it's only the 8th of the month. And we have booked now $96,000, almost $97,000 in realized gains. So that's pretty exciting stuff for us. Up almost 100 grand. We're almost there, not quite. We'll post when we get there. Win rate, doing fantastic. We are at 90.3% win rates, 20 losses out of 207 trades. So doing pretty good overall, and no contributions at all, except for that 130 grand this year. Earlier in the year, let's take a look at what we closed and talk about that today. And really today was just a tale of 2 0 DTE trades, posted these in the active trader service as well. So that account also got the benefit. First trade was an iron condor. Market seemed to have no direction early on. So put that trade on for an iron condor. We're getting like 0 credit for this thing. So, 55 cents for a 30 wide iron condor, terrible. But we put it on anyway, low vol. I don't care about volatility, up, down. It doesn't matter. I got to make some money. So we're going to put the best trades we can on. So we did close that thing for 25 cents, which was a 30-cent winner. We had 15 contracts on this particular trade. So overall, on the trade, we made 450 bucks. Not a big deal, but 450 bucks, we will take it. We don't really size these. It's not our main goal in life is to just keep hammering out 0 DTE, but we do pretty doggone good at it. We also put a directional put butterfly on 0 DTE as well. So we did the 55.50, 55.60, 55.70 put spread. And at one point it was up about 150%. We couldn't get the trade on before the market started to change, but to close it, small trade, only 2 contracts, but we ended up making 270 bucks on the trade itself, which was 81% return. So pretty good overall. So an 82% return there on the margin, 82% on that trade, and then a 55% winner. So overall, 2 0 DTE trades leading us to $720 more. 0 DTE, we're up to 1,270 bucks, and it's 8 days in. So we've had some time to put some of these trades on, so we do it. All right, so what I want to do is spend a little bit of time. We're having really great success pretty much everywhere. We have new all-time highs in the small account, new all-time highs in the IRA account, new all-time highs in the active trader service, new all-time highs in the income navigator account, and every other account I have are at the new all-time highs. And today, smashing it. So really, really good stuff today. But where are we finding some of these trades? What are we looking at? Let's take a look in there. So let me get off of the actual image here, and we'll share my screen and see what we're looking at. So let's jump into the trading platform. Turn the video off, and let's get into it. So here we are on ES, and we did this with members today. So I'm not going to give you everything we gave our members. I'll give you a little bit of a quick overview of what we were doing. But overall, we can see ES is in a nice bullish uptrend on the weekly and the daily. A bit of a sideways range, if you would, here for the last 3 weeks. But what I want to talk about is there are 3 chart patterns that I'm looking at. And really it's 2, but I'm going to throw a third one in there. But they're all triangle patterns. So number 1, we're going to talk about an ascending triangle and a descending triangle. So you've got the ascending and descending triangle patterns. You've also got an ascending and descending wedge pattern. So the wedge patterns, which is a version of the triangle. And then you have the symmetrical triangle pattern where we could go either direction. So these are the three primary trade patterns that I'm looking for. It's a bit of support and resistance, a little bit of trend, all put together into one. And I also use, it's funny that I name it this way, but I also use the 112 technical analysis strategy, which has nothing to do with the 112 trade. It's just the way I'm looking at it, and which means I'm using one indicator, which is the MACD, which is technically an oscillator, but using one indicator, the MACD, and that is a trend trading indicator. It tells me if I'm going to be running out of momentum or potentially reversing the trend. So it's giving me an idea of how strong is the trend and potential reversals coming ahead. Okay, then there is an oscillator. So one indicator, the MACD, which is technically an oscillator, but anyway, one oscillator, that's the RSI. So the RSI is telling me overbought and oversold levels and a little bit of momentum as well. So it's giving me those overbought, oversold levels and a little bit of momentum change. MACD, RSI, very similar in many respects. The MACD, I'm looking at for potential reversal opportunities, and the RSI, I'm looking for overbought and oversold levels primarily. And then the two of the technical indicators would be the moving averages. And I'm looking at the 21 and 50 moving averages, the EMAs. So the 21 and the 50 moving averages, those are my two primary moving averages that I'm using. I'm also using on a small scale, you can see the white dots, that is the PSAR signal, and then this white band is the 3 ATR band, and then the Squeeze Pro down here. Those three, not as important as MACD, RSI, and the two moving averages. So that's my 112 there. Anyway, I'm looking for triangles. I'm looking for things and trying to figure out the direction they're moving. So you can see on the daily, we've been in this sideways consolidation, but in an uptrend. So you've got the trend up, resistance level. So that is a perfect ascending triangle. And we've had multiples of these. We had one back here. We had another one, back in here. Okay. We've had some, back in here on the weekly. Okay. There's been all kinds of opportunities for these. There's another one on the weekly. These just keep appearing. And then when you break out to the upside, like we did on Friday, it's a pretty good sign that that's the direction we're going. So we look for the break of the upside. And if they're being, if the indicators that I just mentioned are confirming this, it's pretty good looking trades. All right, so there's ES, which is giving us an ascending triangle. If we look at oil here, the one thing to look at oil is overall on the weekly here, this thing is in a symmetrical triangle. You can see it's just getting, wider ranges, smaller ranges. Okay, and now it's coming back from this top of the channel back into this range. You can also see a little bit of a ascending triangle in here as well. So this triangle was broken to the upside. And if we extend this triangle to the right, okay, not only do we break it here, okay, good momentum to the upside, but we could come down. This is where I'm looking to see, do we retest it and bounce again, or do we stay inside of this longer term? Either way, now we've got a symmetrical triangle and an ascending triangle working on these. Bonds, symmetrical triangle, both the weekly and the daily. So symmetrical triangle working in here. We could pop either direction on bonds. Gold, what are we looking at in gold? Well, really none of the above, but to an extent, it might be a bit of a ascending triangle. Okay, with some definite resistance here. The market's running up. You got resistance here. Okay, we could probably even expand this thing just a tad more. Okay, so you've got rising here, resistance here. If we can break through, which we didn't, the 2400 level, then I would expect gold to continue to run. But right now, gold's just sideways, not really in one of the best patterns. If we look at the Aussie dollar, okay, you can see nice ascending triangle here, broke out of it last Thursday, Friday, and then today, just a little bit of a give back on that. But that's a pretty good triangle setup as well. On the 6E here, sideways, not really much of anything to take a look at. Maybe it's an ascending triangle, but really just sideways consolidation. Okay, this is a really good strangle setup, and that's what we've been in on this one. NASDAQ, same thing. You can definitely see an ascending triangle here on the RTY. Okay, we've got really just this tightening symmetrical triangle that we could break either direction. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Copper. Now, copper, we get into some of the wedge patterns. So copper is a falling wedge, and typically we're looking at break out of the falling wedge, and that's what we got back here on the first, and then just rocketed it up. So really bullish move on copper when you take a quick look at that. I also like the fact that if you're looking at my other technical indicators, you had a nice bounce right off the 21 EMA. Okay. And well, MACD trying to climb sideways, nothing major. All right, silver, ascending triangle, breaking out of it. Now, breaking out of it, but extend this out. Breaking out of the ascending triangle here, coming back down, retesting and holding it. So let's see if we get any more follow through to the upside. All right. Same type of a deal here. If you really look at the weekly, this thing's probably shrinking a bit, but overall, pretty good upward trend. Oops. Okay. And also a bit of a resistance area here. Okay, so overall on the weekly, this thing is in a bit of a ascending triangle as well. So we're watching the British pound here as it's trying to break out of this ascending triangle. And then maybe if you want to take a look at lean hogs, was in a symmetrical triangle with a break to the upside. So good move, and now bounce off to 21. So good move on lean hogs. So there's all kinds of opportunities here. Okay. If you're looking at corn, could we have spotted something coming up, ahead of time if we're taking a look at, the pattern here? This is also a bit of a falling wedge starting to break out. Not a hugely defined pattern here. I don't know if we're even reaching for this thing a little bit, but it is breaking out, but it's really mostly sideways consolidation. So we'll let this thing continue to cook. I like the fact that you've got a pretty good defined, I think, trading range in here, which means if we could break to the bottom or the top, either way, this might be also a pretty good trade opportunity. It could also be giving you a bit of a descending triangle looking view somewhere in there on wheat. So there was wheat. There's corn. I mean, there was just nothing to do in corn here because corn is in this descending wedge. Okay, we have not broken out to the top or the bottom of this descending wedge on the weekly. So to me, it's just in a downtrend. I'm just staying away from it. Okay, MACD's falling, everything's falling. I mean, corn is a no-go trade. There's just nothing about corn that would make you even want to even think about getting in. I don't know if anyone's in corn, but you shouldn't be. And you've got a similar look here to soybeans where it's a falling wedge. Now, if we break to the upside, yeah, maybe that'll be something. Okay, we'll extend this thing down here. So maybe it'll break to the upside. Maybe we'll head to the downside. But right now, this is, a series of just bad. Here's a descending triangle for you right there. So another, a descending triangle, broke to the bottom, came back up, tested it, failed again, and then gapped way, way, way down. So it was telling you, back here, falling wedge, stay the heck out of this pattern. Number one, let's actually shorten this thing up. Oh, we'll get into this. Okay, so falling wedge, nothing to do, but you don't do anything in the falling wedge. It's just down trending. It can't break the 21. It's just a downtrend. There's just nothing to do in this particular trade. If you're in it, I don't know why. And then you also had a descending triangle here as well. All right, so for me, it's finding triangles everywhere that lets us figure out what we want to trade. Do you want to do the same thing on some stocks? Sure. Let's take a look at AMD. Can we recognize any of those particular triangle patterns on anything that you had? Really, this is sideways consolidation, sideways breakout. But again, I'm using my 112. MACD is my indicator in an up move, showing we got some strength going on. RSI, strong move to the upside, good momentum heading up. And if we look at the moving averages, you've got the 21 crossing over the 50 and heading higher as this thing's gapping up here. Okay, throw in a bullish PSAR and a squeeze firing, and you got AMD rocking and rolling here. Don't really have the best, we don't really have one of those patterns, but you've got this sideways consolidation. I think this is all you really needed. Okay. Didn't have the favored pattern, but you had enough here to figure out what did you want to do with this particular trade. Do we look at, one of my favorites, Broadcom right now. I liked the way Broadcom was looking. This was a definite ascending triangle here. Okay. That ascending triangle, boom. As soon as it broke, gapped, and ran to the upside, you were getting just tapping on this resistance level, tapping, 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 tapping. Okay, finally broke. This was it right here. Broke the ascending triangle and off to the races. It went. So that thing was pretty good setup of that ascending triangle as well, which again, one of my favorite patterns. And you could also see that during that same break that you started here, MACD was rising, RSI was rising, and you were above the 21, which is also above the 50 and widening. That was a great sign that we were probably going to break that resistance level. I mean, just pick anything. Let's pick Tesla. Okay. Tesla has been in this sideways consolidating pattern. MACD started to get going here. RSI was going. Your 21 had broken above the 50 and was starting to move higher as we moved higher. This break of this, range to the upside was all she wrote for Tesla. So off to the races. So again, these are my favorite setups that I can find anywhere out there. So I'm looking for these types of setups. Most of the time, it's a ascending triangle, descending triangle, ascending or descending wedges, and a breakout of those, counter trend. And then it's a symmetrical triangle as well. And then if you look at these sideways consolidation, I think it's volatility boxes, Don Kaufman may call it. Any of these work when you get the breakout going and your MACD, your RSI, and your moving averages are all on your side. All right, I hope this was helpful, giving you a chance to look at exactly what I'm seeing as I'm picking out different trade strategies out there. But that's how we've been able to, work the markets. We just closed a trade on SMCI today. That hit 50% winner. So that was a 4-day winner for that particular trade. So we're doing fantastic on those. And again, it was a perfect setup type of trade. And if you're looking at SMCI here, it was up $50 today. This is in that sideways consolidating range, but you got MACD rising, RSI rising, okay, and your 21 is breaking above the 50. It's just starting to get going. There is an ascending wedge pattern here as well. We haven't broken out and it's still moving up, and we've already closed some trades. I think SMCI could be setting up for a massive run to the upside. So we'll keep an eye on that. We just put a new trade in on it today. We'll keep you abreast of that. All right, I hope this was helpful for you. If you got some use out of this video, please click the like button down below. Give me a little like. If you got some comments, share them. Love to hear what you have to say. Hopefully it's something positive and trade related that you want to share. I'll be happy to comment. I'll do my best to comment back and like your comments as well. If you're not a subscriber to the YouTube channel, subscribe, get the updates, see what we're doing, learn to trade for yourself. We're going to help teach you how to fish and be a more valuable trader, a more successful trader, and how to create wealth over time by just using some of the simplest things out there, simple strategies, simple technical analysis, simple plan. You put it all together, great deal of success. All right, everybody take care. Have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.